Well, my junior year at Wake, I'd been climbing the ladder each year, and my junior year was going to be my breakthrough year. I was really excited, been, grinding after it for 2 years. And I just felt a little bit slower in preseason, didn't know what was going on. Well, they had this welt on my neck about the size of a golf ball. Saw the doctor. He said, "You've got mono and you can't play soccer because if you do, your spleen will rupture and you could die." So that sucked. So I didn't play soccer. I was like, okay, dealt with it. And why that was such a big deal was, one, it was the junior year, but we also were going out to UCLA for a big tournament. If you've ever been out to UCLA in the fall and you're in North Carolina, you would take a UCLA trip, right? So I was disappointed. I'm like, okay, well, my senior year, my 5th year, we're going to UNLV out in Vegas. And we talked about it all spring, all fall. I'm like, yeah. Well, I got injured in the summer and really jacked up my ankle playing, and thought I'd torn some ligaments. But so I was kind of like about maybe 80%, I was getting in some games by 80%, but the tournament was coming up in Vegas. I'm like, we're all stoked. We're all talking about it's gonna be a lot of fun. And I go to get my stuff from the sports department, how it worked back in the day at Wake. And they go, "You're not on the list." I'm like, "What? What do you mean I'm not on the list? I traveled every game at Wake, never had that not happen." They go, "You're not on the list." And there's like basketball players around, football players around, soccer players around. It was so humiliating. So I go into my coach's office, and if you guys can see that guy and that left there with his arms crossed and the mustache, Walt Chiswich. Anybody know who Walt Chiswich is? So Walt Chiswich is like one of the founders of the coaching programs in U.S. soccer. Super famous guy. He sadly died. Really well known. But so he was my coach, and Walt was awesome. But Walt was like blunt, direct, and he was kind of a scary person to talk to. So I go in his office, like, "Why am I not going to Vegas? I can't believe I'm not going." And he's like, "Because you're injured. you're not you're not as helpful. You got to get healthy. You got to stay here, get healthy, because we need you this season." So I walk out pissed off, upset, and saying like he's lying to me, and I can't believe he's not taking me on this trip. So the weekend comes, I go out on Friday night, and people are like, "What are you doing here? I thought you'd be in Vegas." I'm like, "Nope, I didn't get to go." So I didn't make good choices that night, didn't take care of myself, not putting myself in a healthy position. And I woke up on Saturday, was bitter, just kept replaying why wasn't I in Vegas? Why wasn't I going? Why did I have to get hurt? All these things, why? And I was making myself miserable. And I realized that, what was worse than not actually going to Vegas was actually losing my self-respect. And I was lowering my self-respect because I was having a major pity party for myself. And I wasn't thinking about getting healthy, getting better, putting in the work. I just was like, this sucks. This is unfair. So I kind of regrouped myself, worked through it. 2 weeks later, I had this breakthrough where I got big starts in big games, and it was really rewarding. That came after the most embarrassing moment in my time at Wake Forest. So I'm telling you this story because we all go through things, but how we deal with it is a challenge. One of the biggest ways you can deal with difficult things is learning how to accept them and then take your energy towards figuring out how to navigate it. And that's what this topic is today.
I was talking with Shay a couple days ago, and one of the things we talked about was how we all wait in life for things to get easier. Think in your own life, if you've waited for something to get easier. "Oh, I just got to get through this and then it'll be easy. I just got to get through preseason and then it'll be okay. I've just got to get through my junior year of high school and then the classes are going to get easier. Or I've just got to get to my spring of my senior year of college and it's going to be easier." It's what we do. We wait for stuff to get easier. It will never get easier. What happens is you handle hard better. That's what happens. Most people think that it's going to get easier. Life is going to get easier. Basketball is going to get easier. School's going to get easier. It never gets easier. What happens is you become someone that handles hard stuff better. So that's a mental shift that has to occur in each of your brains. It has to. Because if you go around waiting for stuff to get easier in life, it's never going to happen. And then what happens? "Oh, it's so hard. Oh, I can't do it. Oh, I don't know when is it going to be easy for me? Oh, it's easy for other people." It's not. It's hard. And the second we see you handling stuff, handling hard better, what are we going to do? We're going to make it harder. We're going to make it harder. Because we're preparing you for when you leave here. Not just basketball and life. And if you think life, when you leave college, is going to be all of a sudden get easy because you graduated and you got a degree, it's not going to get easier. It's going to get harder. So make yourself a person that handles hard well, not someone that's waiting for the easy. Because if you have a meaningful pursuit in life, it will never be easy. If you're trying to win a championship, if you're trying to have a family, ask your parents, do you think it was ever easy for them to raise kids? Karen, is it easy? It's not. Any meaningful pursuit in life, if you want to be successful at it, it goes to the people that handle hard well. Those are the people that get the stuff they want. People that wait around for easy, you probably see them at the bus stop. They're waiting for the easy bus to come around. Easy bus never comes around. You've got to handle hard. Okay, so don't get discouraged through this time. If it's hard, don't get discouraged. It's supposed to be. And don't wait for it to be, I just got to get through the summer. And then it'll all of a sudden get easy in the fall. No, it won't. It won't. It won't get easy in the fall. So make yourself someone that handles hard well. And then whatever comes at you, you're going to be great. You're going to be great.
All right.
Okay?
So she's trying to tell us that we've got to learn to handle hard better, right? Do you guys think that's true? Do things keep being challenging? As you guys keep advancing, you going through your time in the academy, school, does it keep getting harder in ways? Are there harder things that keep popping up in life? Yeah, there are challenging things that come our way, right? So sometimes we want it to get easy. Oh man, if I just get through this, it's going to be easy, right? And she's like, hey, let's just know that it's going to be challenging in different ways, but let's be able to manage it better. So a huge way to do that is acceptance, right? When you accept something, it doesn't mean you're passive and helpless and powerless and you give up. Acceptance means you stop spending time going, why? Why is this happening to me? Why am I hurt? Why am I not able to play? Why am I not dressing? Why am I not traveling? Why am I not starting? Why am I not playing outside back? I'm such a better outside back. Why am I not doing that? Why does my teacher make these tests that stink? Why do I got to take math class? Why do I have to write these papers? Right? Why do I have to live far away from the training facility? These are all things that our brain wants to recycle over and over and over, right? Can you guys relate to that? When something bad happens, a struggle comes your way, your brain wants to go, why? Does anybody do that besides me? Okay, yeah, right? That's what our brains do. But we can find a way to steer our mind away from just being in that lock cycle of why, and actually focusing on how we're going to deal with it, what we're actually going to do. So our brain is hardwired. The number one job of the brain, guys, is to keep us alive, right? Seems pretty straightforward. Keep us alive. Well, we've talked about, right? Does anybody know what percentage of our daily thoughts are negative? Average person, average day, what percent of our daily thoughts are negative? It's 80%, right? So we are hardwired to have 4 negative thoughts in our head to every 1 positive thought. So what that means is we got a lot of negativity to manage, right? Our brain's always trying to protect us, doesn't care about our performance, our happiness. It's like, I just want to keep you alive. So our brain is hardwired to keep thinking about negative things from the past. Does anybody know why our brain does that? Why didn't your brain just let it go? Why does it keep wanting to play it over and over and over again? A mistake you made in training, a mistake you made in game, a missed call by the ref. Why does our brain want to just cycle it over and over and over? And fantastic answer, exactly right. Our brain is wired for safety, so it wants you to remember it so you don't keep doing it. If you go playing a game and you make a poor pass and that felt crappy, your brain's like, dude, just don't make any more bad passes. So how did that? I know, don't play anymore, right? It wants us to avoid. So that's how our brain's wired, guys. So there's 2 parts of our brain. We got what we call the thinking brain and emotional brain, right? Thinking brain's here, emotional brain here. Our emotional brain, guys, is just like the animal's brain. Same thing, like your dog, cat, like the lions, same thing, right? Our thinking brain understands that there's past, present, and future, right? You guys know we started to call it 2:30. Now we're here. And in the future, you're going to have practice, right? Our brain knows that. Our thinking brain, our emotional brain, guys, the part that tries to protect us, it doesn't understand the difference between the past, present, and future. Have you ever watched like a scary movie and you get into it and you're kind of freaked out. And then you go, oh, and you jump like that when something happens. Have you ever had that happen? Yeah. You know why you get caught up in it? Because your emotional brain thinks it's real. It thinks like, well, dude, if you're watching this movie, it's real. Your thinking brain's like, this is stupid. This is dumb. Like they're all actors. It's not even real. Like, why are you getting scared, Brad? Right. But our emotional brain doesn't understand that. Same thing when you guys listen to music, maybe on the way to training, and all of a sudden a song comes on from a couple years ago. You're like, yeah, yeah, nice. Because you remember how that felt back in the day and you feel really happy. Or a song comes on that reminds you from a tough time a couple years ago, and all of a sudden you feel stressed out. Same thing, right? Your thinking brain's like, it's just music, dude. You're driving to training. What does it matter? But the emotional brain gets caught up in the past. So our emotional brain wants to change things that happen when they don't go well. Why? Why didn't I travel? Why did I get hurt? Why did I have to go strong in that tackle and mess up my knee? And it will stay on that loop for over and over and over. So we've got to steer it away, right? We want to understand where it comes from. That's just the emotional brain trying to protect you. Which part of your brain thinks helps you actually play better? The emotional brain or thinking brain? That's where you can think more clearly, right? Oh, wait, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is my position. This is my responsibility. This is the play that's showing up in front of me. All right, here's the space. That's your thinking brain, right? Emotional brain, guys, feelings are facts. It feels like this referee's out to get me, so they are. It's a fact. And I'm going to go off and yell at this ref because that makes sense. It feels like my coach is never going to give me a chance to play outside mid. It's a fact, so why even try? That's the emotional brain. So guys, the emotional brain wants to take us in a time machine, try to go back and change something that's happened because it thinks it can. You ever done that? Like you're replaying something, you go back and you imagine you doing this different, they do it different, and all of a sudden, like, it's going to be a different outcome. But then you realize, like, dude, nothing's going to change. It's already done. Have you guys ever had a tough loss where your brain kept replaying it over and over again several days later? Has that ever happened to anybody? Yeah, because the emotional brain, guys, thinks it can change it. It thinks it can undo it. Oh, Brad, you're disappointed about that mistake you made where the team scored and you lost 1-0? Dude, let's go in the time machine and just think about it, and we can make it different. So I imagine, oh, yeah, the ball comes to me this time. I shield it well. I lay it back, to our keeper and clears it out. We win the game. Right. But then I realized my thinking brain comes and goes, dude, you made the mistake. You lost the ball. You got stripped and they scored and you lost 1-0 in the last 5 minutes. You can't change it, Brad. It's done. So instead of wasting mental, physical, emotional energy, replaying it over and over again, take that energy, steer our mind towards how we can deal with it. Okay. In my case, it's like, Brad, you lost the ball. You didn't shield it. What can you do next time? Have a better awareness of where my outlets are, have a better awareness of where the pressure is, have a better awareness of how I'm going to receive it to keep the possession, right? That's our challenge, is not to get caught up in why. And it sounds easy, but it's a challenge. What are some challenging situations you guys go through where you find your mind stuck on the why? Most people will say during games, it's harder to let go of stuff because the stakes are bigger, right? You miss a shot in practice, okay, but you miss a shot in a game, it can feel worse, okay? So sometimes we're not executing. How about someone else? What's another situation you find it's hard to let go of? Something maybe that happens in a game. Okay, why did we lose, or why did I get a bad grade in a test? Yeah, it is hard. We lose the game. We wanted to win. We feel gutted. We feel disappointed. And our brain just keeps playing over and over again, maybe what we did, other people did, what the referees did, and certainly tests are the same way. Has anybody ever studied for a test? You got prepared and then you take the test and you're like, why did you put these questions on here? Like, I didn't know we are going to have those questions. And other people kind of look at each other like, that's like a bad test. Anybody had that happen before? Yeah, it's super frustrating, right? Your parents are like, hey, like, what's going on in your math class, Brad? Like, why did you get a D? I'm like, because the teacher like gave me this awful test. And they're kind of looking at me sideways, like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I really studied. They're like, I don't know. That can happen, right? And that triggers the why. The more disappointed we are, the more frustrated we are, the more we go, why, right? So what we want to do then is take the steering wheel, right? Because it's exhausting. Nothing changes, but we get more wiped out and even more disappointed. So how do we take the steering wheel? We remind ourselves that there's a pathway forward to deal with what happened. Right? If it's a tough loss, it's a poor grade on a test, if it's a poor training, you had an argument with a friend or whatever it may be. It's we go, wait a minute, there's a way to get through this and there's a way to maybe improve it, right? The growth mindset tells us, hey, anybody can improve at anything, anybody can learn anything if they do these two things, right? Consistent effort and use strategies. So when you get disappointed, when you have a poor result, when you maybe don't play as well, you get a poor grade, whatever it is, you want to go, okay, I'm going to stop wasting my energy going, why, and accept that it's happened. We lost the game. I can't do anything about it. But I'm going to now put my energy towards how can I grow from it? How can I learn from it? What can I learn from this poor grade on the test? What can I learn from our loss? What can I learn from my poor execution? And that's the important part, right? There's always a pathway forward with that growth mindset. So how we manage that emotion, guys, is something we call the triple A's. This is, we're going to acknowledge the emotion and say what it is. We're going to accept it. And then we're going to take some action. All right, let's go through these and kind of break them down bit by bit. This one is really important. So we have emotion. Most of us don't want to feel unpleasant emotions. Most of us don't want to feel nervous, self-doubt, scared, insecure, jealous, like sad. We don't want to feel those things, right? And our brain tries to protect us from those feelings the same way it protects us from rattlesnakes. So when we often, has anybody done this for a game? You're like a big game, it's coming up, or a big test. You're like, okay, I just don't want to be nervous today. I don't want to be nervous. I hope I'm not nervous. I hope I'm not nervous. Anybody ever had those thoughts in their head before? Okay, yeah. When we do that, we are feeding our anxiety. We are feeding our self-doubt. We're feeding our worry because we just trained our brain that being worried on game day is dangerous. Being worried and nervous and during warm-ups is dangerous. Having self-doubt right before the whistle starts is dangerous. So of course, when I have self-doubt, when I have worry, my brain flips its lid, I get hijacked going to threat mode, my focus drops, my confidence and performance drop too. A very effective and simple thing to do is to predict and expect we're going to have those emotions, right? If I'm taking a test, of course I'm nervous before the test. I want to do well. If I'm going to training, of course I want to do well in the shooting drill. So I'm going to be more nervous. That doesn't mean I'm actually going to play bad. It just means my brain's worried about me being disappointed if I don't do well in the game or on the test. But that's okay because I've gotten prepared. I got a pretty good chance. I can't control exactly how I'm going to do, but I can control my actions and my effort. So I encourage you to say, when I get nervous taking a test, when I take a test and look at question 5 and go, I have no idea what the heck that question is. And my brain starts to panic like, Brad, you're going to fail the test. And I go, no, it's one question and it's just being nervous. I'll go on to the next, right? Same thing goes before your game. So fearing self-doubt and worry only makes it bigger. Well, the other thing we often do, especially as guys, what we do is we fight it and go, okay, I'm feeling nervous. Ugh. We just kind of take it like we bulldoze through it, right? I'm nervous, bulldoze through it. I'm frustrated at the ref, I bulldoze through it, right? I'm worried about what's happening in this test, I bulldoze through it. And I get through it. And it seems like, Brad, that's great. What's the problem? Well, the downside is that when I bulldoze through that emotion, that fear, that worry, that frustration, I wasted a lot of mental and emotional energy and physical energy I don't have for the game or for the test. But I also told myself that those emotions are the enemy and I fear them and I'm just going to have to attack them every time. And I made them stronger the next time. So we don't want to fear it. We don't want to fight the emotions. We want to acknowledge them. And a simple thing is there's something called name it to tame it. Now, as you guys know from working with us, there's a lot of things that help our mental game that honestly feel kind of weird. I'm about to give you one of the weird things. This one is you literally just say what you're feeling 3 times and it takes away some of the intensity of the emotion. It gets your thinking brain back online so you can think more clearly. So when you get nervous, if you go, I'm nervous, I'm nervous, I'm nervous, you helped your thinking brain get more online and you lowered some of that intensity. It's not magic. It's not going to disappear, but you've helped it lower, right? Same thing can be frustrated. I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated. Just takes a little bit of the edge off. It's that first thing. We don't want to fear and dread these emotions. We want to accept them, embrace them, and name them. Okay, so that's the first one, fellas, is you acknowledge it. The second thing is we want to accept these emotions that we have, right? We want to accept the challenges we're in. So I often ask people, they're like, but why did it happen? But why? And I'll go, do you genuinely not know why you lost the game, or are you just disappointed you lost the game? Most of the time it's like, no, I mean, I know why we lost. We didn't finish our chances, and ref missed a couple of calls and they finished their chances. And yeah, that's why we lost. Okay. So if you know the answer, don't entertain it, because that's just taking you down the rabbit hole. That's your emotional brain want to take you in the time machine down that rabbit hole. You know where that's going to lead you. Instead, go, I know why. I know why. I don't like it, but I know why. Then what I want you to do is say these three things. I can't change it. I can't change it. I can't change it. And that's you trying to steer your mind towards, dude, I can't change it. And then we're going to go to the next day, which is action. So this is also a great thing. You go, I can't change it. I can't change it. I can't change it. You're trying to let go of it, right? The more we learn to accept something that we don't like, the more energy we have to figure out how to navigate it, learn from it, and grow from it. So try to notice, guys, the next time you're in practice today, you make a mistake, your brain's like, but why'd you miss that pass? Why'd you miss that shot? Why didn't you win that tackle? Just be like, dude, it's already happened. Focus on learning from it. Next play. That's what I want you guys to do. All right, I put this 5-minute rule in here. Some things are hard for us to accept. Maybe you made a mistake, and from that mistake, they countered and scored, and maybe you're just stuck in it. So a 5-minute rule is this: set your phone for 5 minutes and say, okay, and hit start and let yourself just vent. Just like, this is unfair. I can't believe this happened. Why did this happen? Why didn't I do this? Why did they? And just go say everything you just say. Leave it all out there. Just go off. But when the 5 minutes is up, that's when you stop. You take a breath in, take a breath out. When you go, I can't change it. I can't change it. I can't change it. And then you steer your mind towards one way you're going to grow from it. So that's how we can accept, fellas. Any questions with that? Okay. Next one is we're going to act, right? We've acknowledged the feeling. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling disappointed. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling nervous. Okay. I've accepted it. Okay. I've accepted it. All right. Accept whatever the situation is. Now I need some action to go behind it, right? Action is what we need. Action changes outcomes. Feelings don't change outcomes. Actions change outcomes, right? So the triple P's, you've heard us talk about the triple P's before, right? That just means that when we're going to predict some challenges, we're going to predict 2 or 3 things that are going to be a challenging in a training, in a game, on a test. We're going to have a mental plan to respond well when I make a mistake, when I'm not doing well in the scrimmage, when I miss a shot. This is how I'm going to talk myself through it. And then we mentally rehearse that plan, right? We maybe close our eyes and visualize it. We can like write it down. We can think about in the way to training. Hey, Brad, you're going to do some good things today. You're going to make some mistakes too. When you make these mistakes, just breathe in, breathe out, next play, next play. Boom. Okay, dude, that's our plan. Got it. Let's go. That helps us get prepared. So when we make the mistakes, as of course we do, because remember, guys, if you go through training and you haven't made a mistake, you have not challenged yourself. If you go through a game, you don't make a single mistake, you have not challenged yourself. So the goal is not to avoid mistakes. The goal is to challenge yourselves to keep growing and keep learning. All right. Another quick tip you can do is zooming out. This one's really cool. When we get stuck on a negative thought, it could be the referee made a poor call, called a handball on you in the box. It wasn't true. Or you just got freaking clipped and taken out and the referee didn't call it and your mind's just stuck, or, your team's just struggling to play well. You're down 2 goals early and you're just stuck in those negative thoughts. Zooming out means put your focus onto things bigger around you. So you can take a glance up to the stands, maybe notice like 2 or 3 people. Okay. You can look, maybe like in the horizon and see like a tree or something there, but you want to be able to zoom out. When you zoom out, you get perspective and your brain gets out of threat mode. So when we get stuck, we're like here on something negative, zoom out. So put your eyes around something, name a couple objects you see, like 3 things that are red. You can just kind of notice like, okay, someone in a coat, someone in a hat, someone in a beanie, okay, whatever it is. That quick zoom out, even for 3 or 4 seconds, brings you back. And now you can have better focus. You can do this in training and in games. Same thing, you're taking a test, you want to zoom out, just put your pencil down, look around the room, just notice something far in the back of the room, notice a couple of things, come back, boom, your mind resets. All right, the last way to action we can do is ask yourself this after you've accepted something disappointing. Hey, Brad, what would the growth mindset say? Brad, what would the growth mindset say? Brad, what would the growth mindset say? Now my growth mindset's going to tell me, well, this sucks. Yeah, this is disappointing. That's a tough loss. That's the frustrating mistake. Okay. So how can you learn from it? Why did you make that mistake, Brad? What did you not do? Oh, you know what? I didn't really like take a good first touch and I just kind of like didn't really focus. Okay. That's why you lost the ball. Got it. Okay. Let's have a better first touch. How come you didn't connect the pass? I wasn't really looking at my outlets before I got the ball. I waited till I received it. Then I looked for my outlets too late. Okay. Whatever the mistake is, correct it and think about the strategy you can do to get better. Right. And sometimes it's going to be that effort matched with that strategy to help you improve that as well. Any questions with those actions, guys? Okay. The great news is you will absolutely have this happen today in training where something's going to frustrate you, bother you, upset you, and you can put this into practice, right? The acceptance, just acknowledging, yep, I'm frustrated. Yep, I'm disappointed. Yep, self-doubt's in my head. Okay. You know what, dude? The mistake's over. Whatever happened is what it is. All right. What am I going to do to grow from it? How can I improve from it? That's what you guys want to put this into practice today. And the more you do this in practice, the easier it's going to be once you do it in games, right? If we just wait to all of a sudden learn about your tactical formations and work on my first touch, if I just wait until the game, it's way harder, right? But if I'm training it all week, now it's going to be much more ready for game. The mental game is the same way, guys. You got to get in your mental reps all week in order for this to stick on game day. All right. Does anybody know who this guy is? Steve Fisher. Anybody follow college basketball? So he won national championship at Michigan. He went to 3 Final Fours. Then he came to San Diego State. I'm in San Diego. Came to San Diego State and was college coach of the year. And he had this amazing record in overtime, guys. Most coaches in college basketball, men's Division I, they're about 500, but he had a really good record in overtime. And they interviewed him and asked him, said, "Why are you so good in overtime? What do you do?" And what he does is really simple. He said that when the game is over in regulation, they go to overtime, whether his team was up by, 5 or 7 points and they made a bunch of mistakes, turnovers, and the team hit like a shot from half court and tied it up and the crowd's going crazy and this team's just devastated. Or if his team did the amazing comeback, they were down by 7 points with a minute left, turned the ball over a couple of times, made a couple of threes, chucked the ball from midcourt and they tied up and the team comes in just like amped up and the crowd's going wild. Whatever happened, he would do this. He would go, "Hey, we have a 5-minute game. The team that scores first has a much better chance of winning. So when we win the tip, this is the offensive set we're going to run. If we lose the tip, this is the defensive set we're going to run. When we get the rebound, this is the offensive set we're going to run." So that was it. Why do you think that was so helpful to his team? We take an optimal level of skill and be fully engaged in the present. That's how we get our optimal performance. That is your superpower. So how do we get ourselves in the present? We have to accept what's already happened in the past, right? So what Steve Fisher did is that whether they were amped up like, yeah, right? They were so pumped about that amazing comeback or they were so upset about the, collapse at the end. He was like, dude, either way, it's over. We have a whole new reset and it's called a 5-minute game. He wanted them in the present moment, right? Accept what's happened and bring it here. That's your challenge too, right? The players who play at an elite level have a really good ability to accept what's happened, right? So they might score an amazing banger from 35 yards out. They continue to play. They might make a really poor play and get scored on and turn the ball over. They continue to play. It's that acceptance of, okay, it's already done. I can't change it. Ball's been put in the back of the net either way. So now it's about what happens next. What happens next? What happens next in the present moment? That's your challenge, guys. That's why you want to work on acceptance because it allows you to come back to the present moment. And really in your trainings today and tomorrow, really challenge yourself to be like, okay, one time this practice, I'm going to accept that I'm going to make a mistake and try to just tell myself next play, and move on, right? When I do something really well in training, I'm going to be happy in that moment. Then I'm going to bring myself to the present moment and go back to the next play. And the more you can do that in training, you're training your brain to do that in games, right? Because when the stakes get bigger, there's more stress and pressure. It's harder to manage our emotion because our emotional brain is trying to hijack us and take over, right? The thinking brain, we want them to interpret and be in charge of our emotions. And a great way is accepting what has happened. Why? Hey, dude, referees make poor calls. It sucks. We've got 30 minutes left in this second half. Let's keep going after it, right? That's our challenge. It's hard sometimes, right? But your brain can get trained to get better and better at it, but you've got to put in those reps. All right, guys. And so, just as I kind of mentioned, you want to be proactive, right? In the mental game, you don't want to wait until the game on Saturday or Sunday. And now, for the first time, you're like, wait, what was that thing Brad talked about? The acceptance, right? You want to practice it now. Practice it now so you can get better and better at it so you're prepared mentally to accept those things, steer your mind towards actions when you're in the game. Don't wait and be reactive like it's halftime and you're really upset and you're like, dude, this sucks. And now for the first time, you're trying to learn to accept it. Work on it all week and do this outside of practice, right? Stuff happens during your day, like with school, different things, accept it, right? And say something happens in your day you're frustrated about, disappointed about, and just be like, well, that sucks. All right, what was that whole Triple H thing? He said, acknowledge, yeah, I'm frustrated. That sucks. Okay. And accept it. Yeah, I can't change. Okay. And action. Well, here's how I'm going to deal with it. And the more and more you focus your energy towards how can I manage it? How can I deal with it? The better and better you get at that. But it takes repetition, guys. So we talk about being a buffalo, right? Buffaloes go towards the storm, cows run away from the storm. Buffaloes, if you run towards the storm, you hit the storm earlier, that's harder, but you get through it quicker. So challenge yourself to be a buffalo. Being a buffalo is trying out these mental strategies. They sound weird, right? They sound name it to tame it. What am I going to do? Sit there, walk around in my room and go, I'm mad, I'm mad, I'm mad. Yeah, try it. It actually can help, guys. Put these things into practice. That's when you'll start to see those results changing you guys on the mental side.